Alrighty, good morning. Getting here right on time. Look at this. Kind of ish. On time is relative. Doesn't matter. Close enough. But yeah, 10:30. I'm doing it. Trying to. I know I said originally I would have like a weird intro and these kind of things. I haven't done that yet, so deal with it. So I figured since I don't have the stream starting soon and all that kind of stuff, I can't really leverage that without the right stuff. Hey, Burlast, welcome back. I'm doing pretty well. How about you? I'm just getting a few things situated on my end, and then we should be good to go. Good. I'm glad you're doing well. I'll switch over camera. All right. So normally what we do is we'll go and look at cool art first, right? That used to be what we do. But since we've extended the timeline, I'm thinking what I want to do is instead use this as like a break, right? So since before, when I was only doing it for like, 2-hour streams, that was one thing. But since I'm doing it for like 4 hours or so, I feel like, so I have all the things open I want to look at, but we'll look at them like in the middle of stream. How about? So rather than just like, I feel like I always like lean into drawing eventually. I kind of want to just start off drawing and then take a break and look at the cool stuff. So I think that is going to be the move moving forward. That said, I guess I'll have to set up the iPad twice, which is kind of not ideal. Like I'll have to, move it and do that kind of stuff, but that's fine. I think it's worth it in the long run because doing it all at once just didn't seem quite as nice. But yeah, so drawing today, I've got a few things. So one, I'm going to still warm up doing some illustration, or I'm sorry, like figure drawing, right? I'm going to do a little bit of figure drawing, and then I'm going to do a little bit possibly of animating. I've been wanting to animate a lot lately, and this was just like a half-assed little doodle I did yesterday when I was having coffee, but I kind of wanted to play with it a little more, or at least even just look at it, even if it's just for a few minutes. But then definitely will be drawing Emma Frost from Marvel Rivals. I have I sketched out an idea already, so I can pop that on screen now. So I definitely already kind of started something this weekend for Emma. I sketched her out pretty cleanly already, but I think what I'll do is I'll clean up the line work and give her a little more oomph and hopefully have maybe add color. That's overzealous for me, I know, in my timeline that I usually get stuff done. But this is the plan. Give me 1 sec. I forgot to do one other thing. Did I? Hold on. Oops. There might be double feedback in a second. Yep, there it was. I called it. Okay. There we go. Now we're good. Okay, now we're cooking. So since we're going to start out with more traditional, starting right off with drawing, let's do the figure drawing, right? So while we've got big muscle mommy Emma here, let's let's look away from her though and do some more figure drawing in a second. But first, I didn't even get to drink coffee yet today, but I do have a surprise. So normally I've got all my different mugs, but today we've got a Scooby-Doo mug that, drum roll, doesn't have to be hand washed. It's dishwasher safe. How beautiful is that? Isn't that the greatest thing? Who hand washes mugs when you can just throw them in the dishwasher? That last Scooby-Doo mug is nonsense. Who does that? Not me. Just kidding, I do most of the hand washing, but it's not me who wants to, because lame, throw it in the dishwasher. So anyway, let me pull up, as usual, have it, the view, yeah, okay, you guys can't see it because of boobies, right? Classic. Again, I always say it, one day I will get these things more properly organized so we all can see them. But, oh crap, normally we're talking about stuff. I don't have music on then at first, so let's get something. Ooh, that's very loud, hold on. Very loud for me, not for you. Cool. Better. Okay, so we've got our figure drawing massive file that I just keep going back and forth to. Oh, I forgot. So on stream, yeah, that was last week, right? Last week I started this guy. Spoiler alert, as you can see, I didn't finish him. I gave a little bit more oomph to like the arms, and I slapped some color in for idea. And then I stopped just because didn't make as much time for it. And then I got distracted this weekend when I was going to finish it with drawing good old Emma. But, you know, that's what I do with all of my pictures. As you can see, everything's either not done or super distracted and like almost done. But okay. So here was last week's warm-ups. Let's do some more. Yeah, when I have when I get up and I just don't decide to have coffee right away and I'll wait till stream, definitely hits different than when I finally have coffee. I'm getting old where coffee's like my thing. Ugh. Yeah. I did not love coffee until COVID, actually. I never drank coffee. And then when COVID came and I go to the gym at night, or I would go lift at that point when COVID happened. Obviously, I wasn't going to the gym. I had to find a new way to get energized during the day. Normally, I just had enough energy during the day to just do whatever, you know. And then I'd have pre-workout at night and go lift. But it got to the point with COVID that like come 2 o'clock, I was like, oh my God, when I was working from home, I wasn't seeing people regularly. You know, like energy levels were very different. And I just couldn't stay afloat. And I was like, I think I need to join the dark side, quite literally, because I'm a dark roast kind of guy, apparently. And yeah, I just got cold brew. And I was like, yeah, cold brew makes sense. It's easier, right? I can buy that at the store. I don't need to do anything. And I kept having cold brew. And then when I moved back here to Illinois and I met my girlfriend that I've been now with for like 5 years, she loves coffee, like like has a whole area, like a coffee nook. And by nook, I mean like a full ass dresser and actual coffee space, right? And I still just had my cold brew. And she's like, you really need to try something different. And I was like, coffee's dumb. I just want it for energy. And cold brew's expensive though. Buying a bunch of cold brew, holy cow. I didn't realize like the cost differential in the two. And because I would just we buy like the little jug, you know, like the gallons or the cold brew cans, until finally I was like, okay, I'll have some of the coffee from just the Keurig. And yeah, now it's become an every morning thing. Every morning I actually have my nice warm coffee, and that's my life now. I'm a coffee person. Do you like Ross? I'm a like, hey, give me a dark roast. I don't need anything. I don't like fancy stuff. I just want warm dirt water that gives me energy. But I'm usually in the minority when it comes to that. I feel like more people like, you know, different types of coffee, special coffees, things in their coffee. what are your vibes? Because I am definitely just as basic can be with coffee. I have fun with the mugs, not with the coffee itself. Twin Peaks. I remember that was on my list from a long time ago, and I never did end up watching that one. Twin Peaks, yeah. That was, I know that was, there's so much television. Like, I just can't I barely keep up as is with the couple things I want, like, that are coming out new in the moment. We are a household of not much television watching, and so it's a struggle for me to keep up. And then whenever there's something like, what was it? My buddy texted something new from Apple TV. It's like Murder Bot or something. And I was like, cool, another show I'd like to watch that I never will get around to. Because I'm terrible, man. I don't know. I just don't, I consume essentially one episode of television max a day, generally, is what my timeline provides me. If I'm really feeling crazy on gym day, on my Monday through Saturday, basically I just take Sundays off, or Saturdays off, I'm saying, sorry, so Sunday through Friday, I'm always at the gym, and normally I've been mixing up the volume of cardio I do instead of, like, usually I do some cardio and then a lot of lifting. But I've been doing less cardio lately, but I think I'm going to stick back to it. But no, normally if I'm on the bike, depending then, I'll watch some sort of episode of a thing, which is generally anime if I'm on my bike for cardio. But even still, that's like a supplemental extra 1 or 2 episodes a week that I'll pop in through there usually. Ooh, this lady's looking weird. She's very lanky, the source material that I'm drawing, but I feel like she looks even lankier the way I'm drawing her, unfortunately. Morning warm-up drawings, am I right? Always look like doo-doo. Before, my excuse was like, oh, it's the first time I drew this week. I've given up with that excuse. Mornings are rough. I think we'll leave her at that. Go to a new one anyway. It's fine. I didn't draw, like, at least allude to something in our hands. Look, it's a stick. But yeah, in terms of TV that I am watching, we keep up. We usually do a good job of, because girlfriend and I will watch television on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Generally, that's like when we watch TV together. And then on the weekends, obviously, plenty if, we're at home and stuff. Excuse me. But luckily, Daredevil airs on Tuesdays right now. So for us, we actually have been able to watch Daredevil as it, like, right when it airs, which is nice because we usually don't get to. We're always super behind. It was funny just the other day, my buddy who was like a TV movie-aholic, like that's his thing. I went to go talk to him about Daredevil, and he hadn't even seen the episode yet, and he got like, oh, well, he got like quickly, not like offended, but it was funny because I'm like, oh my god, I beat you in something. He's like, shut up. We're watching a million things. It doesn't count. And I'm like, fair. I'm watching like 2. But yeah, Daredevil is it's I don't know, man. Daredevil is one now that it's really good, but holy F, the way the world is going right now, there's a lot of negative news in real life. And then Daredevil, as cool as it is, man, it's a heavier show in its own right too. Like obviously it was going to be heavier, but it hasn't lightened up. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just sometimes mentally when you're watching certain things at certain points in your life and things like that, it impacts it differently. And a point where like our lives are already really stressful and stuff like that here, especially in America, it's like, don't know if I needed this right now, but I really like the show, so I guess I'll stick with it. Which is why I've adopted, I haven't watched anime a lot lately, but that's why I'm back. I'm like, I need playful, little fun anime back in my life. Which the new My Hero Vigilantes started this week. Is real good. It's super fun. Still in the world of My Hero, but then it's got its own unique story to tell. And they even note it's before Izuku. Midoriya. And it's like the bronze, silver, gold. I can't remember what age of All Might it is, but with his cool old outfit. But it's funny when I watch anime, when I do cardio, when I'm on the bike, I usually do like 17 to 20-ish minutes is kind of like my max. Just for time purposes. Like it's just to warm up, to get the blood flowing and stuff like that before I lift. And so it's anywhere, honestly, it's from 10 to 20 is usually the timeline that I allot, depending on, you know, the time we've got and what I'm feeling and what I wanted to get done at the gym. But like, as much as I love watching anime, then I'm like, well, shit, I need to be on here a lot longer. Because anime usually, you know, 20, 25 minutes or whatever it might be. Especially because like, if I'm on the bike, I want to listen to those intros. Those get you hyped, you know? Weird. Hold on. Why is it being... Okay, sorry. It wasn't usually when like weird spam bots pop in the chat, it gives me the option to ban them more easily. That was not coming up there for some reason. Like the system recognizes, by the way, it's like, hey, this is probably a bot. And it's like, it clearly is a spam thing. Why do I have to click it? It can't. I'm sure there's some sort of chatbot features within Twitch that allow it to auto moderate. I should look into that because it's annoying when those kind of things pop up. This lady's got an extremely muscular rump up in here. It almost doesn't even look like a butt. It looks like two old school metal toaster ovens. That's the weirdest comparison for butts, but that's kind of what, because the pose, they just look like two giant rectangles. That's fun. Got them toaster oven cheeks, you know what I mean? God dang. What you know about that toaster? But yeah, My Hero was pretty dope. Getting to watch that again. I'm just excited to be more in that universe again, honestly. Like, especially because the actual, like, story proper of My Hero is coming to an end, and also, speaking of being getting pretty dark, which was hilarious. So my buddy was over this past weekend, and then we were talking about My Hero, and he's like, oh, I'm way behind. I still have to finish, you know. He's like, I'm here, whatever. I was like, okay. And then I talked to him again the other day, on like Tuesday, and he's like, "Oh, I actually binged it all." And I was like, "Wait, what?" Because the way he had told me, he was on season 4 of My Hero, and he's like, "Yeah, I finished. I binged it all." And I was like, "Dude, what are you talking about? How did you have that much time to binge all the way through season 7?" He's like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" He's like, "It's season 4. I was halfway through season 4, and I finished season 4." And I was like, "Oh, that's it?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's all that Netflix has, man." And I'm like, "Dude, no, seasons 5, 6, and 7 are out." He's like, "What do you mean? They've already been released?" I was like, "Season 5 came out in 2021." He's like, "Oh, Netflix doesn't have them." And I was like, do not watch Netflix for like that unless it's an anime that's distinctly on Netflix, basically. Like usually Crunchyroll or Hulu are your better options. And he's like, "Well, we don't have those. I'll have to get them." I was like, "Oh man." Mind you, he's like so well off with his job and everything, this individual. Like, I'm like, "You're such a cheapo sometimes, man." But yeah, so I told him that there was 3 more seasons to watch, and he's like, "You literally just made my day. I did not know that there was that much content." And I was like, "Yeah, by the time he finishes all of that, Vigilantes will be done." And then even by the time he then gets to Vigilantes, the last season of My Hero probably will have already aired. So it was just funny though, because I'm usually the one very behind on things. Because it's all relative, right? Like I've got some friends that are on top of their TV, right? And then the other ones who are barely even aware of it. And so there's me like right in the middle, that to the one group, I look like the person who doesn't know shit. But then to the other group, I look like a crazy television watching maniac then comparatively. It's all just relative to the other person you're interacting with's experience. And that's pretty funny how I have pretty polar opposites with a lot of my different friends and or family. Apparently, I'm not in the mood to draw legs. One thing I always seem to fumble, by the way, is like the elbow. I don't know why my brain always farts at like this junction. I feel like it always ends up looking like just wrong, too thin, too rubbery, too something. Elbows, am I right? Okay. I haven't checked yet. In Fortnite, apparently, early access has gone out for Finn and Jake. It's Adventure Time in the game, and I am still intrigued to see how those work. I don't know why that just popped in my head. But when they have like the super stylized anime skins in the game, they always look kind of jank. But from the screenshot of the video my buddy sent, it looks passable at best. Excuse me. Now, speaking of My Hero, this pose that popped up looks very reminiscent to All Might when well, I guess spoiler, when All Might does the fist up thing. Let's just say it's that vibe, but like even more extreme this guy's doing because it's just straight up. still have to this week. My buddy's coming into town from up north. I haven't seen him in years. But there's a big convention here in Chicago, anime stuff. C2E2, I think it is this weekend. And they're coming up. And I was like, next time you're friggin' up here in Illinois, you need to tell me when you're here. He's like, hey, we're going to be here, this weekend or whatever. And I was like, dope. He's like, but also we're going to be hella busy. And I'm like, even better. So hopefully the plan is that we can actually meet them just today when they get in, before all of the stuff starts for them, and at least meet for dinner, just even for an hour, right? Sometimes when you haven't seen friends for years, yes, would you like to have a ton of time? Well, obviously, but also any time is better than what you've been getting, right? So I'm excited to hopefully at least just have an hour to see some of my old, really good friends. I miss them. I miss friends in general. Speaking of COVID and coffee and stuff like that, like a lot of my friends are no longer in physical hangout distance. And then the one that is now moving next month. So it's like, oi. Connecting with friends online and stuff that I do every week still is always fantastic. I'm not saying that's not. It's just different, always a different beast when you're able to be there with the person and share those laughs in person. But yeah, I am so grateful, thinking of as much as the internet's a piece of garbage in so many ways, and has arguably bastardized and ruined a lot of civilization. I feel like we've taken one step forward, two steps back with the advent of the internet, frankly, from a societal standpoint. But its ability to stay interconnected, so when you use it for good and you use it to spend time with loved ones and stuff, that is pretty great. So it is double-edged, of course. But yeah, I can't imagine then a world where I wouldn't be able to not only communicate, rather than just speaking on the phone, but the fact that we can text and joke and do these things with all my friends at any moment, but then also can still easily play with them and communicate and do all that stuff, right, online and play games to the best of our ability that we can to simulate we're, back in the same state or, room or location. So just trying to think positively, there's definitely, we've got some perks that definitely did not exist in the world before. He says as he's streaming drawing to people on the internet, that clearly, obviously, the internet does a lot of things too. But you get my drift. You picking up what I'm putting down. Dude's got some friggin' quads, man. Holy cow. So the other day, so I haven't been doing leg work this week because I'm an idiot. Okay. Those of you that know, I'm an idiot. And it's okay. I am this weird hybrid of extremely quick on my feet and good reflexes and relatively graceful with stuff. However, when I mess up, then it's like my body only knows two ways: full on or full off. And man, the full off hurts, quite literally. The other day, I was rushing. When you're quickly trying to get stuff done and you're not paying full attention. I'm rushing, getting a couple of things done. I look down at my phone because I got a text and, boom, I clobbered my foot into one of the ottomans in the lower level. And normally you get hurt, but this was the kind of pain where I immediately felt like I was going to vomit, and I had to sit down. And my foot was throbbing. It crunched the toe backward, crunched it in so far that the whole side of my foot and my knuckles of my foot were in pain. And that pain has persisted. I've taken medicine, pain medicine, and taped the toe and the foot quite a bit. And I've been taking it easy. But yeah, I avoided certain cardio then for a couple of days, like even going for walks. And then I avoided doing leg work at the gym just because I didn't want to like strain the foot. But then I was like, I'm fine. I'll do some today, which was yesterday's timeline. And because in your head, you're like, I'm not stressing my foot. Yes, you are. Any action you do with your leg, you're stressing that foot. You're tensing it up. And that's what happened. I did some leg stuff yesterday and I was like, ooh, my foot's not 100% yet, but it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, always weird how I can be certain things. I'm even impressed. Like, you know, when you do stuff and even you're impressed with how like smooth or graceful it is. I do that pretty often. And then there's other times where I'm like the literal opposite, where I'm like, I don't even know if I have eyes on my head to pay attention to where I'm going, apparently, sometimes. Like, it's weird. Needless to say, my foot kind of hurts still, but it's okay. But yeah, with my buddy coming, I said we'd meet them for dinner tonight, which means when my girlfriend gets home, we need to kind of like quick scurry on out. Because it's like, oh yeah, it's only like 25 minutes ish, right? But then it's like, oh no, Chicago is actually like an hour when you go on a weekday during the nighttime. You know what I mean? In the evening. So it's going to be busy to get there. But I told him I'd figure out what we'd eat. And as someone who has lived by Chicago his whole life and worked and commuted there for years too, I'm not a big like eating out person, right? I'm very boring with my food in so many ways. And so it's always funny because when I have to look up food, then I'm like, well, I don't know, man. Because him and his wife, they'll eat whatever. But I also am not a fan of whatever. And also when I don't know where the hell we're, like, I have to look because it's at like one of the convention centers. So I was going to look around to see what's there. That head looks very messed up. That's fine. So who knows? What a mystery. Maybe I'll find something interesting today looking on good old Google Maps and just clicking restaurant. Which for those that aren't in a big city, that's daunting. Like normally if you're like out and about and you like look at if you look for restaurants on Google Maps or whatever, you just click on restaurants and it pops up restaurants here and there. But when you're in a major city like Chicago, every square like centimeter of your Google map becomes a dot saying, yeah, there's a restaurant here, there's a restaurant. Like, you are paralyzed by decision. There's just so many. And I think it's by Chinatown, which my old man body with my shitty heart does not do great with a lot of like sodium. And so that's why I generally eat lots of just like simple chickens and greens. So finding stuff like that, I'm always like, so where's my basic stuff? That said, holy crap, my buddy, the one that came over this weekend, he's the one moving. He's getting married. He's moving out with his soon-to-be wife now down in Florida. But my gosh, he has always been able to eat, this friend of mine. He is just, and he's never been like fat. He's just like kind of stocky at times, but I would never have categorized him as like fat, you know? I'm sure that will catch up with him with his dietary habits over time. I've always joked because we used to always lift together, him and I, back in like when we were younger. And he gains fat in his arms. Like he doesn't really get it. He gets it in his arms and his chest. So even when he puts on weight, he just somehow looks stronger. I'm like, that's not fair, man. When I put on weight, I put it on my like my inner tube, like right at my waist, like always. And it just looks like poop then when I gain weight, which I've gained quite a bit of weight since the holidays because we hadn't been to the gym with the whole gym issue. And yeah, I weigh myself regularly, daily almost, just to watch trends. And I kind of stopped. Hooey, man. I put on a little bit of weight. But anyway, not drastically. I'm like around 170. I used to be around 167. 3 pounds, whatever. But still, that's enough to bother me. But anyway, my buddy he just eats. Like, that's always the joke, is that it doesn't matter. He'll just eat a metric F ton of whatever. And so when we were younger, we would always get pizza. And my mom even would be like, my God, he eats all of it. Because he does. He just eats all of it. And so then when we were older, like post-college time, or even in college time, but like he'd come and I don't eat that volume. So I get like nicer stuff that I really like, especially if I'm getting pizza, let's say, right? And the one place that we got, again, because it's somewhere him and I got when we were younger, so it was like a nostalgia trip the last time he was over. They sell calzones. And so for those that don't necessarily know what a calzone is per se, imagine like a giant, just imagine a pizza, an entire pizza rolled up, right? It's like what are those called? Like the Totino's pizza rolls. Like imagine a pizza roll, but like the size of a pizza, right? Like it's just a giant thing of dough filled with cheese and whatever you want in it. So whatever pizza you make. So I can't eat a whole calzone from this place. Like I could maybe eat a third of one of these calzones. They're effing humongous. Like they put them in a full-size pizza box. So they are, if you do know calzones, you're like, oh yeah, calzones can be small. These are not those though. These are absolutely gargantuan things of food. And so I always have to get pizza though for him too. He'll get the calzone, but he needs the pizza too. So I had 4 pieces of pizza myself. They cut them in squares, for the record. I had 4 pieces of pizza. He ate the entire calzone and 5 pieces of pizza. And I'm just like, I can't even fathom that amount of food being inside of me. Like, even when I was younger, I'd eat a good amount of food, right? I don't know if I was ever able to consume that quantity. Like, every time he does it, I'm always just like, dude, I don't understand. I physically do not understand how this works. And like I said, it would make sense if you looked at him, he was like some big old fat guy. Like I said, he puts on weight here and there, but he never gets like fat. But yeah, it's wild the amount of food that some people can consume. I know I had it, and it's different too. Like for some reason, when you're younger, everybody always has, either you are the person, I'm sure, or you have a friend, which I was not the person. I had the friend that did. That is like a stick, right? I had a friend that was literally pure twig, and this kid could eat all the time. Like I remember spending the night at his house, and he would just be eating sandwiches, like just randomly, like in the middle of playing games. He'd just be like, I'd be like, where'd you go, man? He's like, oh, I'm just in the kitchen, and he's just eating. Kid would just eat nonstop, but he was a genuine twig. Whereas it's weird when you've got other people who are just in the middle, right? Like for some reason, when you see someone who's a twig and they eat a metric poop ton, it like makes sense. You're like, oh, you're one of those super skinny guys or people who just can consume, and the metabolism just friggin' poops it out, especially when they're younger. But then when you've got the one friend who's like in the middle, right? He definitely puts on weight, but not like a ton, but still eats as if they either are A, unbelievably twiggy because of their metabolism, or B, should be 500 pounds. Like, it's always wild. My boy can eat. I cannot. Give me a salad. I'll eat that up. Gobble. Gobble the goop. Excuse me. But yeah, that pizza is delicious, though, for the record. The pizza we get. When I lived in the one city, then when I commuted into Chicago, literally, I did not realize it until the last year I lived there, that there was a pizza place at the train station, essentially, like across the street in the downtown area in the little city I was in. And I was like, whoa, how did I notice this? It was like a little bar, but they had like, as featured on Food Network stickers and stuff all over the door, and then on their website when I looked it up, and I was like, damn, how did I know about this? And I ordered it the one time to try. I was like, well, I guess I gotta try it. And I was like, son of a, how did I not know this was here? I lived there for years and I had never known it was there. And it is arguably one of, if not my favorite pizza places that exists. Keep in mind, I'm Italian. My grandparents came and opened a pizzeria. Like, we know how to eat pizza. Like, it's in our blood. And I don't do it much because I'm a health weirdo. But when I do, I know what I'm doing. And that pizza is worth it. It's worth every 4 billion calories per bite. And I'm super Italian. I get like the very standard traditional sausage, green pepper, onion. It's like the one time I consume any sort of meat that isn't chicken, basically. I take it back. My mother, I feel like everyone's mom has like a really basic sounding dish, but just hits, right? And my mama's meatloaf. Like, I don't like red meat. I don't eat that kind of stuff often. Don't care too much. But man, oh man, when she makes that, it's dangerous. That leg looks weird. Just erase it. I don't know. I kind of borked all of these gestures today because I haven't really like been doing like soft gesture at first. I just start slapping in lines without looking at the whole form, which is kind of against the point of doing it. Also, I keep getting like some of these pictures I'm getting are like very extreme. Like this woman, her legs are like, speaking of people who are twiggy, these legs look like they are like, they look like I could easily, like my hands would overlap if I were to put my hands around them. Do you know what I mean? Like they're so thin. And so my brain, who always adds muscle and thickness whenever I have like really skinny things, always my brain's like, I don't understand. What is this? What am I looking at? All that said, my friend I'm going to hang out with possibly tonight, I don't think he's been watching what he eats himself. So I don't think we'll run into the same mass volume of consuming. He is definitely, unfortunately, not like my other friend, where he like the rest of us human beings need to be more careful and watch what we eat. That other friend is an anomaly. I don't know. I'm just cross-hatching a little bit just to feel like I give this person some sort of form just because I feel like it. I've been on Phil Tomato's Discord, and I've been trying to be better with helping other people with stuff. And one of the people I need to get back to, I saw I'd given them some feedback, and I needed to get back to them today because I saw it last night. They've got stuff with like line work and shading and stuff that they were asking questions, and figure drawing and stuff. And one of the things I told them was they were trying to figure out like how to do like anime style like cell shading. And one of my big things is like people always look at doing the source that they want, right? But if you're drawing the human form, you've got to just do the human form first. Like if you want to learn how to do cell shading, do cell shading and like more like flat shading on the human form, and then it'll translate when you draw anime stuff, right? And I feel like that's one of the things that it makes sense to get caught up on, because your brain goes, no, I want to draw like this. But it's the thing I was talking about where it's like you need the building block first, right? You need to fully study anatomy. If you want to do that kind of stuff, you need to know what the muscles are doing, how the forms move around a shape, how to showcase that in flat form first before you can do anything else, right? You have to know the rules before you break them. And anime is 100% breaking most rules for anatomy, you know? Breaking the law, breaking the law. Talk about breaking the laws of anatomy. We'll eventually get back to drawing some rival stuff. We've got crazy old Emma Frost now in game coming this tomorrow, actually. I'm actually extremely excited for that new content tomorrow. I am very close to finishing my first YouTube video finally. It's terrible, but it'll be done. And now I know how I want to make it better, right? And it's weird because like streaming, I streamed then for every day for a couple months, and then I toned it down, and now I do every once a week now and stuff like that. But like I've changed the schedule, I've done it a lot. I don't have the reps necessarily in for making these YouTube videos yet. However, I feel like this one video was like 20 reps, right? Because I've learned so much in the process. So was I going to redo the first thing I did? Absolutely not. Not worth it, right? But I am going to reflect on that first one I did and see, okay, this was a stupid idea, but I can tweak it and make it better. Or this is a good idea, but I didn't do it right. Or, stuff like that. Or simply put, like my biggest thing I realize is I need to focus on how and what I speak first and be okay to quickly re-record. Because that is, as I was making the video, I feel like I was too beholden to the audio that I had recorded. And even if I had an idea to do something different, I didn't do it because I already was like, well, the audio is already recorded. I need to work with what I've got, which that is absolutely not how that should be. But yeah, but what I was getting at is that I really need to finish that video the next, probably not tomorrow, but I need to get I'm almost in the home stretch, so I can finish it by early next week at the absolute latest then. So I don't think we have much going on this weekend, so I might actually give a little bit of time this weekend, but we'll see. Upcoming weekends get busy pretty quick. But I think this weekend is actually pretty chill. Wow, figures. I think am I done with my coffee? What do we got? Disappointing, yeah. Just a sip. Okay. What time is it? This is throwing me off, mixing up the scheduling. Okay. We'll do maybe like 1 or 2 more. And then move on to then we'll look at some cool stuff. And then I'll eat some chocolate, you know? Best of both worlds. Cool art and cool candy. Okay. Where is... I lied. I'm gonna have a piece of chocolate now. I said chocolate. Do you ever do that when you're like thinking of a thing and all of a sudden you can think it, but then when you like accept your thought of it, your brain goes, yes, I need. Like it breaks. Like that's what just happened. I was like, yeah. I'll have a bite of chocolate in a minute. And then my body went, you said chocolate. You give it to us now. Like an angry dragon you need to appease. I'm sorry. Okay. Ooh, this is a very super extreme perspective here on this fella. Very beefy guy as well. Man, now I'm wondering what I'm even in the mood for food. Because normally, yeah, I usually get salads and that kind of stuff. But places that have that are not as common. So I'm debating, like, do we do something different? I don't know. I guess it just depends on what food we find on good old Google, like I said. Man, this guy's so muscular, and the angle that we're seeing him at is so extreme that like there's so much hard cast shadows on his muscle. Like he's so well defined that it's almost like hard to keep track of what I'm even looking at then. Holy cow. Gee, mister, you're real strong. But then the perspective is so wild that like it keeps going like this. Like hella big. Yep. I'm using a picture of my dad for reference. So big and muscular. Something like that. Yeah, the pictures, I need to get it eventually sorted out that when I do the quick gesture drawings and these studies like these, just the human figure, a lot of them are nude. And I had them all set up in folders like nude, clothed, male, female, expression, perspective, all these different things. But unfortunately, I had marked them nude even when they were just wearing like underwear, which for drawing it here on, Twitch and YouTube, obviously I don't want straight up nudity, but if they're in their underwear, I could easily have that visible. That's not too big of a deal. Because it's just like a Speedo or, skin colored sports bra kind of thing, like, you know, like a nude sports bra. But since I categorize them all the same, I don't know what's what. And so when I click on my references, I don't know if they'll, like, this guy's actually wearing underwear. So it's okay. I could easily probably have this on stream. But since I don't know which picture is going to come up, basically, I don't have the references visible. Otherwise, there could be boobies and wieners all over the place, which is not Twitch and YouTube friendly. It's friendly somewhere on the internet, but not where I'm trying to be. Not. So with all the weird stuff obviously going on right now, not to get into political news and all that jargony BS, but, you know, the idea of, you know, somehow your president dealing with market manipulation and all of that reminded me of there was a show, an episode of Pawn Stars. I usually don't watch Pawn Stars much anymore because I frankly hate the people. They're annoying as hell. However, the content is still interesting, right? I love seeing the cool stuff that stumbles into their store, the history behind stuff, hearing about things like that. Like, I think that's really neat. And that type of show, I think, still has a place where we look at history. And I think it was a smart show because people don't care about history, but people care about value and money, right? And they took a show that technically, like, was based on the premise of educating people, right? Because the show really was about talking about, especially originally, talking about the history of the objects and where they came from and all these cool things. But then you put it in something people will actively pay attention to, which is money. So anyway, genius idea. But the show has devolved because they're all just friggin' unbelievably rich now, speaking of, and they never were like the most interesting human beings in the first place. But either way, every once in a blue moon, I'll still throw it on for the sheer fact of what cool stuff might I see. And one thing I saw that is beyond weird was he went to go buy the Declaration of Independence. Mind you, this wasn't the Declaration of Independence, but arguably the declaration that was most viewed. So apparently when the Declaration was written, it was immediately, before it was like the final one, right? It was immediately sent to, I can't remember whose press it was, but basically like 300 of these were made. Because obviously America didn't have that, you know, whatever. It was however many were made. A good chunk for the time. But all of these were made and they were just copies and they were meant to be put, since we didn't have the internet, we didn't have anything like that. This was to be put at like centers of towns, right? Whether that meant inside of one of the main establishments, on like a board right in the main town hall, whatever that might be, that is where this declaration was supposed to be put. And so those are the ones that the American public saw. And a lot of them are gone because they weren't meant to be kept in that sense, right? It was arguably like the equivalent of like a newsletter, right? Like it was just being sent out for everyone to view and then be put away kind of thing. But so they didn't have many of them in existence after the fact. And the ones that were like on public display. So they were beat up or these kind of things, right? Like, so it's not like they were preserved documents like the actual original declaration itself. And so he went to go buy one of these like newsletter declarations. And it was like $2 million or something he ended up buying it for. Something absurd. But what's cool is it actually had like, you could see the holes in it where it was clearly tacked to a board in some sort of bar or town hall or whatever it may have been, right? And you could tell too, like they inspected it, that like the normal holes are perforated by like a round circle nowadays by tacks and different things like that. But they had all handmade nails and different things like that. So everything had like variability. Either way, I digress. It was cool to see. But the point that I'm getting at in terms of like the market and stuff, I thought he was getting it for himself, because he does that a lot, right? In the show, he like ends up buying it just for himself because he's super rich now and he's a crazy collector of like weird, all these history things. So the show was like leading up to him like keeping this for himself, I assumed. And then it cuts and he goes to like some dude and it does like a weird like business breakdown of this individual. I'm like, what the hell are we watching right now? Excuse me. And it was basically this individual has started a business where it's essentially like NFTs of real things. So what this company does is this guy will buy things, aka let's say the Declaration of Independence. Well, one of the things that they referenced was like super expensive like baseball cards and stuff, like things that are worth millions, right? Like unbelievably expensive things that most people would not have the ability to buy. So what he does is he buys them and he sells ownership of them. So it's like, so he bought the Declaration of Independence and then he bought it from Rick and then he splits it into shares of it. So you own a portion of the thing, but you don't have the physical thing. So it's like, yeah, I own 5% of this crazy $2 million trading card. And it's like, cool. And you spent $200,000 on it and you're just sitting there knowing you own it, part of a physical, tangible object that you don't get to hold, you don't get to see, you don't get to do anything with. But then the idea is that if it goes up in value, the object for whatever reason, then so does your ownership. And so you can like buy and sell ownership as if it's stock, but it's on an item. Yeah, I was like, who the hell is the market for this? Are people actually doing that? Like, because if you're going into the market to buy it because you want to own part of it for the sheer like ownership aspect that you've always been like, man, I always think that I can't afford it, but in my head, I know I own part of it. That I can kind of understand that. I personally can't, but like I can get the idea. But then even weirder is the idea that I'm sure people do it as a means to try and make money. And that's where it always gets me, where it's like, I don't know, man. It's just such a weird concept to me. And who knows, like that business may fumble and fail at this point. Who knows? All businesses at this point are struggling, but who knows if that's actually a viable business model? Like maybe I'm correct in thinking that is not something that people would want to do, but unfortunately, people like the prospect of something that could net them money for, no input on their own. And so it's like, I don't know, what a world we live in where you can buy ownership of a physical object for something you'll never be able to interact with or own yourself, actually. Dumb. Though I joke because one of my friends just got a new one of the very, very expensive figures. Who would want to? It's in a home when you could own a small. Yeah, right? It doesn't make any sense. You could buy a home easily. But that's the thing. It's usually not those kind of people. That's what's even weirder, is if you've got $200,000 to spend on something weird like that, you probably, I hope you aren't worried about other finances. You're probably pretty wealthy. And so that's in my mind. It's like, you've got to be someone who's just doing it to hopefully get a return on it. I don't know. But yeah, no, my buddy just got one of the very expensive Hot Toys. They're like a $600 figure. And I was like, dope, I can't wait to see you pose it, do something really cool with it. Because I hate when people get figures, like the really expensive ones, but then pose them like garbage. Because it's like, you spent $600 on a figure that is super articulated. Why don't you pose it like it is? Like, it's so weird to me when people like buy a $500-$600 action figure and make it stand straight, like as if it's a mannequin doll. Like, the whole point is that it can move, make it look good. But so I joked and told my buddy that, like, hey, hope you make it look cool. And he's like, oh, it's just going in the attic. I don't have space for it. So it's like, even people who shouldn't be, you know what I mean? Like even people who collect things, when we don't have space for it, how's that different though? It made me think, like, there's people who buy things and immediately put them in storage. And it's like, yes, you have it, but you're not actively using it. And so it made me think of myself, where like, I've stopped buying toys and figures if I don't have anywhere to put them. Obviously, there's other reasons I'm not buying toys and stuff right now. But if you don't have a way to show it, why buy it? Like, why? Like, if you can't appreciate the thing, do people genuinely still find joy in just knowing they could? Like, I do have it, but I don't want to. The toy goes to a different school. Like, you know, like, it's that same kind of energy almost. I'm taking more time on this guy, so I'll probably maybe just leave it at this one, and then we'll move on after I do some, because I'd mentioned the idea of shading, and so part of me wanted to like kind of illustrate that, so I can show that to the person I was trying to help on that one group, so they can see what I mean. Like, you don't need to do crazy shading, you just need to kind of break down and understand where the shadows exist, kind of like this. So you don't even have to go into too much detail. You just need to look at how the shadows contour and form around the body. But yeah, because I was trying to think of how I could illustrate that for this one person. But it looks like I can do it here. I would say we have the phrase is kill two birds with one stone. Girlfriend and I, the one day, were like, that's real morbid. Why do we're saying we're productive. We got multiple things done, right? Why are we murdering things? Why are we killing two birds anyway? So the joke was, we tried to think of like a more positive way of like using that same idea. And she came up with the dorkiest thing. The idea of like, so imagine you want to give a hug to two different people, and you bring them both in for a hug. So it's two hugs, one embrace. Instead of killing two birds with one stone, it's two hugs with one embrace. There's enough negativity in the world. If we can have a goofy, silly way of saying a phrase that makes me smile and is based on a more genuine thought, I'll take it. Two hugs, one embrace, you know. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. Getting two hugs for one embrace worth right here. I get to do my warm-up sketch within the stream, but also I can use this to help the person in Phil's Discord to showcase what I was trying to illustrate to them. And again, that being the idea of using hard shadows on a human figure when you're learning to kind of get a better grasp. She is a smart girl, whoever came up with that phrase, that is for sure. She's the best saying ever indeed. 2 hugs, 1 embrace. That's what's up. Yeah, I think this is, if I finish, like I said, I'll finish this up and I'll save this for later then that I can show that person, because I think this really illustrates pretty well simplifying shadow, right? Telling the shape of the object, telling the lighting in the room of the thing, contouring the shape with just simple use of shadow. Of hard shadow at that, right? I used to always, when I would draw, like in school and stuff like that, there's a type of pencil called color erase, and it is basically like, imagine a colored pencil mixed with a drawing pencil, right? Like it's got the qualities of a drawing, more traditional pencil mixed with the ability to color. But just like a normal traditional pencil, then, excuse me, it has the ability to be erased. Not quite as nicely as a normal pencil, like it would still leave a little bit of a mark. But they're basically used, like if you look at like, especially like animators and different concept things, like you do the rough work in color essentially, and then you can ink on top of it. And then after you ink it, you can erase the color that was underneath. But so I used to always use those. That was my way of making a mark in school. And when I was younger, was using color erase pencils. I thought they were, and it was just cool. It gave your piece some sort of value differential already, right? Like it's usually I used red ones. And then I had other colors too, but like red was the primary that I used. And so I've switched my default sketching. I used to always sketch in black because it's like, yeah, that's like a pencil. That's not my old pencils, right? Like my pencils were blue and red. So I was like, you know what? When I'm sketching, it may not be that apparent, but it is now blue instead of black. Small change. Essentially meaningless change in the grand scheme of things, but a change nonetheless. Anything to make it feel more authentic is cool with me. Break down the shadow, looks rounded here. Goes back up to form the other side of that quadricep, right? Cuts down, boop, boop, boop. And then pretty much right down to the center insertion to the knee. Beautiful. But what's interesting is this negative space with the shadow here that we want to illustrate, right? It cuts up in, and then since the quad starts in that like sharp way connecting to the knee, that's what this point is kind of illustrating. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, sometimes when I'm doing sometimes they feel more warm-up-y, sometimes like, you know, the gestural figure drawings, and then other times I end up like doing a little bit cleaner work on them, and this is definitely, like I said, since I'm going to utilize this for a teaching thing for someone else at the moment, might as well clean it up a little bit more than normal and use it as a tool. Going to take a break from drawing is actually a helpful thing too, since this old iPad has been struggling and it almost dies in the middle of, like, towards the end of streaming. So actually taking, instead of doing, you know, looking at all the art in the beginning and then just straight drawing for 3 hours straight, this actually allows me to draw, throw it on the charger, look at stuff, and then go back and draw again. So maybe it'll breathe a little life into the iPad so it's not as dead. A secondary benefit to changing the schedule a little. The right here doesn't feel very round though, and if that's what I'm trying to illustrate is like the curvature of shapes, I think we need to fudge what the reference shadow looks like, which is something I talk about a lot too, where it's like just because it exists doesn't mean you need to draw it that way. You need to sometimes push it a little bit for it to read properly. And that's what we're doing. Just harden up these lines just for definition of shadow to illustrate. The light source is obviously coming pretty heavily from our right side here, the viewer's right. So this side is pretty well lit. There's not much else going on for shadows. And his right side. Again, trying to simplify, because on the left side here, there's actually quite a bit of shadow, but pinpointing where the shadow tells the best story, right? Boop. Cool. Draw the face. Do I bother? Does that, in the immortal words of my little sister, do I gain anything from this? Like, I gain nothing from this. Is that worth illustrating here? Probably not. So I'll just keep the general shape so we can see where we're, you know, the landmarks kind of, just so it makes sense. the other day I was doing taxes and I got distracted sitting here too long then in the morning and afternoon doing that and some other things. And so normally on days I stream, my lunchtime and everything is thrown off. But yesterday was pretty thrown off too. I didn't eat until way late just because when you're like in the zone getting stuff done, and especially with taxes and all that, like you're filling things out. And like for me, I do both, like TurboTax and then like the free file one, so I can kind of compare, see which system is more accurate at the time. Like if they both look good, I'm not going to use TurboTax. I'm not spending $190 just to do the same thing I can do elsewhere if it's the same results, But so that means I have to fill out my taxes on two different things, and you've got to like look up stuff. And the way my things are, it's all like government-based things. So then all of a sudden you're having to go re-log into government websites, which let me tell you, suck. And then their systems get effed, and so you actually have to like redo your password 90% of the time. Even though I'm super anal and I have all of my passwords, that doesn't matter. They don't care. Their systems don't care because it just breaks. So I'm not doing full detail of the face, but I am kind of just putting in rough shadow since that was kind of the assignment in my head. So at least there's some sort of shape being told. Yeah. I don't know why I made this shoulder so thick, this line. So let's finish up. Again, kind of do the same thing that we did with the other arm, where I'm like not necessarily filling in all the information, but just alluding to the shape so we can see kind of what's happening. Again, we've gone over hands plenty. We're like, yes, they can be done quickly and they can take a long time. So it just depends on what you want to put in. But usually if we just slap in enough information, you get the vibe, right? Of where this hand is, how it exists. And that's all you need, right? You don't gain enough from having detail to this hand right now. I like to always, when I simplify hands, my big things are always the roundness of the thumb, like whatever you call like that part, right? Like the intersection of the thumb to the palm. Because people forget that like your thumb is actually connected at the wrist, essentially. Like, you know what I mean? Your thumb is one big old piece. And so I like to get kind of like, even if I'm just simplifying, you get the landmark of that thumb and then this part, right? Do you see in shadow how when I move my hand, that side of my hand, the flat part, right? Like imagine like when you're drawing, that part that touches the table. I always, oops, just bumped into the microphone. I always like to get that shape in. It's usually just some sort of like rounded shape like this, right? Like it's just some basic S curve. But just like over on this hand, it immediately tells the viewer what direction the hand is facing, right? Like you see this and your brain knows, oh, that's the side of the hand. And so it helps direct the flow. And so even if you're just blocking things in, if you at least kind of direct the flow of the side of the hand and the intersection of the thumb, I feel like you don't always need too much more information, because that kind of, it's like, okay, that's not all the information, but it's enough to understand. Like, oh, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I don't need to hear the whole story. Okay. I think we're pretty much good to call this piece now. Done, so I can at least, you know, like I said, use this to show off what I wanted to illustrate. And go from there. Wow, what a muscly, strange perspective on this man. Just kidding, this arm looks weird still to me. Oh, that's an eraser. Again, one of the things with shadows is telling the curvature of the space. And so here on this form, again, this is a not quite how the shadow is actually looking on the figure, but I need to round this shape out more. So I'm gonna fudge it. And I think that'll help. Nope. There we go. Okay, good enough. Let's move him just so he fits. Shrink him a little bit just so it fits on the paper. Cool. Yeah, that's a good one to show off then. I'm happy with that, so I can use that as my talking point for that student. Pop the pencil back in. I am going to switch over a couple things real quick. What time is it? It is noon. So let me grab water. One sec. Do my food switch. Get rid of the coffee, grab water, get the little snack bar for later, get myself a little chocolate time. And I think that's a good time. So I guess the new schedule we can do maybe is we cut at noon to do like the normal, like, hey, let's just peruse and look at cool stuff. So that is what we will do after chocolate. Okay, so let's get out of the screen. I mean, it's always chocolate time at this house because we have it everywhere. Hard not to be. Okay, so let me pop off the iPad and let it charge for a couple minutes. Let it breathe. Let it do its thing. Yeah, my buddy gave me a bag of Dove chocolates in when he asked me to be his best man, and I got that from him a while ago. But the joke was he came over this weekend and he saw some of the chocolate out and he's like, "Oh, did you finish that bag I got you?" And I was like, "Oh, honey bear, like that bag was empty a long time ago." Like I gobbled up that chocolate, didn't stand a chance. Like I go through chocolate every day. So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, so let's take a break here. Let's pop up. So I had a handful of things I wanted to look at like usual. But as I said, I switched it over to the afternoon now. We'll get back to normal drawing in maybe like 20 minutes. But to take a break, let's look at some cool stuff. Probably similar stuff that we've seen before, but let's see. This is somebody I'm already following. So what I'll normally do, for those that don't know, I just pop on ArtStation and I click on cool looking things just to look at. Usually it was to get inspired and something to talk about in the morning, but now a nice little break. So apparently I'm following this person already, X Riot. So I wonder if they've done like the 2XKO stuff that we've looked at before. Ooh, I like this. I love a good like ghostly ethereal effect. Those are clean. I really like this one though, the first picture. I love when they have like, there's something so innately charming about makeshift robots, right? Like they never feel violent, I guess. Like it's such a nice way to make it feel like a personal thing and a like good, safe thing, right? Like you don't look at this and think, oh crap, that would mess you up. No, there's something innately like calming about a robot that has like makeshift silly parts. Like it just looks more safe. And the fact that it has literally a cactus wedged in for a leg, something about that has some charm to it. That is for sure. But so what else does this person have that we've looked at? It's always fun to see why we followed them in the past. A lot of like all these things look really cool. You know, I'm a sucker for shark people. There's a lot of stuff here. Holy crap. Got an April O'Neil. Always good. Okay. Well, so I'm already following them, so I don't have to bother giving them an additional follow. But a beefy Santa Claus. Ah, 2 different forms of Santa. That's dope. Knock, knock. Your Xmas gift is here. There's something always weirdly funny about like a jacked Santa Claus. Because, you know, traditionally he's a big old fatty. But something funny about a super muscular one, which honestly, lore-wise, would make more sense that he'd be jacked and strong as hell. How else is he delivering that stuff all the time? You gotta be strong. I like the idea of like the moose antlers on this big old one though. Or reindeer antlers, obviously. But they're more moose-like. Oh yeah, this one, the street shark, seeing that for sure. Yeah, there's I've pulled it up on stream before. There's Mondo's doing street sharks right now. They've been doing so many cool things with their soft vinyl figures. Oh, he sold out. Damn. Not many of these actually sell out. He actually did. They're pretty big. But and they're pretty wild looking. Like they're pretty weird looking. They're, you know, like yay big. But definitely cool. All of their soft vinyls are really cool. When I was mentioning I'm not buying toys at all lately, these are the struggles because I'm not buying any of these cool things because they've got all the Ninja Turtle ones too. Do they not have, how do I look at it? It's like these guys. Oof. Are these all still? Yeah, these are always like readily available. So it's weird seeing the other guys sold out. Must just be pre-orders. But yeah, like these giant chunky vinyl things feel so much when you mentioned the Street Shark throwback, that same energy of like recapturing those vibes, but in like a more modern thing. But anyway, for some reason seeing this one fat just looks weird with these little fingers and stuff. Dope. So yeah, it was just a throwback of all different IP. We got some Ghostbusters, got some Venkman, we've got some April, got some Doc. I like the green splatter all over Venkman. That makes it fun. Green splatter over April would look weird then. Is that ooze, I guess you could argue. They actually did do for Mondo, they do what are called Mondo Crew? Mondo Gang? I can't remember what it's called. Mondo set of figures. So they did an Ah Real Monsters set, actually. It was like 7 months ago they put it up for pre-order. I did not. Obviously, like I said, I've not been buying things. Where was it? Let me look at it. But what they're doing is instead of having like individual figures, if they're smaller figures, they'll do a group of them now. Mondo. And sell it as a box, essentially. So you buy a singular set of them rather than needing to buy a whole thing, right? So this one, oh, they still have it up for sale, but it's not. Is this the exclusive limited edition or not? restrict this exclusive. Okay, so this is the exclusive edition. So this one must not have sold very well for them. It says almost gone, so I'm sure it's pretty much kaput. But what they'll do is they'll do the exclusive editions that have like way cooler accessories, including actual like little bonus figures on this one, and like Crumb with his like mouth with the eyes in it, and stuff like that. But yeah, no, these were, you can see Oblina's 8, 6 for Crumb, so decent sized little figures. But they've even got Bonsi and Zimbo, the little guys that were with the one with the principal and stuff like that. But no, it's a pretty cool idea the way that they're handling it, where it's like you don't have to buy a bunch of individual figures if it's just like a small set of figures, right? Like they're not going to do a whole line of figures for Our Real Monsters, but they'll do a box set of like single little figures like that, which I think is smart. But looking at the fact that they're not sold out, I wonder how well these things are selling. Yeah, it's a fun. Oh, they're Mondo Squads is what it's referred to as when they do the box sets of these. But I think they've only done like 1 or 2 of them. But yeah, Mondo is definitely a company that like when I get back to buying figures, it'll be from Mondo for sure, because that's where I've enjoyed getting their stuff. And they're just better quality. Like a lot of the toys nowadays are way more expensive than they need to be. Okay, so they did Adventure Time, Daria, Rick and Morty. Yeah, so they haven't done a whole lot of the sets yet. Okay, so they've got the basic version still available too, but then it's like for $25 more, why would you not get the one with all the cool stuff? But no, all toys now are just, it's a mess, obviously, with the tariffs and stuff, but even still, toys have just been going downhill for like $20, $30 figures are just no longer even, like, they've become more garbage. The quality has been dropping and the cost has been rising, so always a bummer. But anyway, so we looked at this person's stuff before. It's a whole studio, and I remember getting lost looking at their stuff for like way too long last time, even though apparently their website's not loading. But I saw this was another piece from them, so not going to go into depth on their stuff, but I gravitated towards this guy because it looked like he had like a giant leek or something for a weapon. Like obviously it's a giant sword, but like it looks very similar to just a big old vegetable. I thought was pretty funny. Oh, I didn't even notice at first glance he himself is made of, his arms are actual vines himself. Weird. So you could maybe, like, the lore behind it is that sword is actually like an extension of him even. Very cool. I like it. The dragon's kind of weird. It's got too much going on for my liking, but still neat. So on my feed, I've been seeing stuff a lot for Project D2. I don't know what this is, but I wanted to look at it on stream. I haven't peeked it yet. So it's just a Project D2. Does it say what it is? It looks like it's going to be a card game of sorts, like a digital card game. But like, look at all this different mythos. Man, these are cool. Holy crap. Holy crap. It just keeps going. How much did they do? Oh, I could take forever just analyzing 1 or 2 of these, yet this, it just keeps going how much work they've done. What in the heck? I was going to say I could try and pick a favorite, but no, I like this Joan of Arc vibe here looks so cool. I love a good, like, knight on horseback. This crazy angelic thing. I don't even know what's going on here, but dope. Then we've got like the Egyptian stuff. These are, Horus, right? Horus is the bird. Ooh. The Gorgon looks really cool. I like that a lot, that Medusa. I like the body language too. Like, this is very goddess, right? Like very high priestess goddess energy. You can feel from the elegance of this pose, right? Where these feel powerful, right? These are gods. These are strong, both feet planted on this one, right? Very stable, very strong energy. Where what's kind of cool with this is she's a I don't give an F energy, right? She can turn anything into stone by looking at it. So she even portrays that kind of energy of strength, but also through the body language with the shoulders forward and slumped, right? It's like a casual vibe where she doesn't even care. I love when people are able to tell the story of the personality with just a pose or two. I don't know what this stuff is referencing, but I like it. This is like Mongolian armored and stuff, maybe. Viking, more Norse energy here. How can you tell it's a Norse thing? You give them red hair. Easy. Easy peasy. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, Thor, the actual Norse mythos of Thor, like, we think of Marvel, but I'm pretty sure Thor in the original, like, lore of it is a red-haired individual. America is just like, yeah, but what if he's blonde hair and blue eyes and beefy? Nah, Thor's actually kind of fat. He's like a strong man with messy red hair. This is a weird pose. Why is he on a chair? And his monster, his creature is like a rooster? That's weird, but I like it. I love this energy. So much movement here. Man, yeah, I can just keep scrolling and it's still new stuff. Oh, this is interesting, a style exploration. Like, they definitely didn't go with this route. You can see the faces. Like, these are way more cartoony. I like this, but definitely not what they stuck with, right? Because we look at these faces. Where's another female to compare? Like, these are far more, like, real and elegant, whereas the style study at first was, like, almost Pixar energy. I really like this style, though. This is pretty. So we've looked at stuff before trying to, like, analyze. If we look here, like, I like this. So they did a shadow, a hard cast shadow. And we talk about how cool colors and warm colors within shadows and highlights and stuff. They legit just did an extra little bit of blue, right? This little bit of blue on top of the shadows, which I think is really smart. I like that. I'm going to steal that. Okay, back to scrolling for like 4 days with how much this person has in this post. Yeah, these are so cool. So this is part of a whole other thing that I want to look at. But then we already follow this person. What do they got? A whole lot. Very different styles, which I'm always a fan of seeing the evolution of how they make a mark, right? Person has a ton. Not surprising. As usual, I'm guessing they are not from, yep, they are from China. Because here in America, we don't know how to support art. Oh my God, and they have a whole other page. Holy sh... And these are more like, oh my God. Yeah, I gotta look at whatever this is from. Another big old horse. That's more of the Huns kind of. Or no, this is China. This is Chinese with these that headdress. More Norse female stuff. Man, these are so cool. These are more of like the Hun dynasty with that sort of shoulder plating and armor. I like the peaceful nature of this one. Literally just like a badass version of Maui. You know, this is a show I'd watch. I didn't watch Moana 2, but I would watch badass Maui for sure. Ooh, these are neat. So in traditional knight's armor, there's the coat of arms that they have, but there is, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a specific piece of armor actually used for extra defense near the throat. And it comes up as like a tiny little shield, usually on their chest or their shoulders. And it used to be originally for jousting, that it would break along there, but it was used also for additional neck protection. And so that little shield shape is very reminiscent here of those pieces of armor that exist in actual history. And so having them like floating around him as an extra aura of protection is a cool idea. Plus he's on a horse, so that's cool. The little, oh, I like the chubby leprechaun. I like his big old belly and round legs and everything. He's fun. This person just, how much did they make? I like that it's a mix of like badass imagery of like knights and soldiers and gods and goddesses and creatures to then still like nobility and like more of not government per se, but you know what I mean, like kings and queens and more royalty. And they're all just sitting. How can you tell the difference? Cool guys are standing because they have to be in action. Royalty is lazy and they're always sitting. Ooh. Dracula doing like blood magic always is super neat looking too. Okay, so then these are just the recaps of the cards. But yeah, this person's stuff is dope, and I'm very intrigued to see who is this. This is Zupeng Zhu. What is this that they're doing? So Project D2. They only have 2 of these things, and it looks like different from the other person. Holy what is going on? I made some conceptual design drawings in the past 2 years. I'm very happy to work with Brother Lai and Yongzi. So they didn't explain what it is, though. And it's usually harder to... You're royalty because you're always sitting. I mean, the math checks out then. This stuff is real... Talk about a shark then here. Look at this. This looks like a League of Legends character, actually. Probably is. 100% follow this person, though. I want to see more of this. But yeah, they've even got more stuff. Holy cow. Same vein, same style. Like a Van Helsing look. I like this like Celtic bard. Very Greco-Roman underworld energy there. More Mongolian stuff with the armor. Quetzalcoatl kind of wings, so like a very Aztec look with the jade imagery and stuff. Oh my goodness, these are so cool. I'm gonna save these and use these as like study references at one point because these are just there's like it's so much to unpack. The way that these people are able to do so much and leave such a gorgeous mark. Okay, I need to keep moving though. Let's look at the last 2 Project D things they had and go kind of quick though, because I am getting very distracted with how cool these things look. They even did environments. Oh. That is really cool looking and horrifying. Insane scale in water scares me. Because it is. You're on water and you exist as like you're a dot. You're a speck. You're nothing, right? Who knows what's under there? Hopefully not this. Okay. Ooh. More of the Egyptian inspired ones here. Oh yeah, these are all Oh man, I am completely blanking right now on the names of the Egyptian gods. Oh, well, that's embarrassing. Completely blanking. Is the snake god and the crocodile. Egyptian snake god. Nebekau. That's actually, no, that's not the one I'm thinking of, though. Renenatet is what I was thinking. Okay. Makes sense. And what's the alligator? Sobek. Okay, that one I would 100% knew. That was just blanking. Yeah, that Sobek looks dope. Ooh, the Minotaur looks with the giant like spirit knight behind him. Okay. Got to keep moving. So we've looked at before. This one said Marvel Snap card art for Ares. We've talked about how I love Ares, and speaking of Greek gods and other things like that. But in the Marvel universe, I think Ares is dope. I clicked on this one because I saw Marvel Snap. I was kind of horrified by the mouth. I hated this face. I don't know what's going on with this mouth and this chin, but the overall rendering style is really cool. I like these intense cross hatching, and I really like. I don't know if you guys caught this. There's like a skull faintly in his axe here. Such a creepy little touch, but I like it. I wonder if this person has done. They definitely chose the best pose of what they were working with here. I wonder if they've done other Marvel Snap card art or if this is one of their first. Looks like their first. Good for them, but also lame. I always like to see other ones they've done. Ooh, we've got a Mufasa. This is weird. It almost looks like a drawing. So he did this part. Gustavo did this part. It looks like his art style in some of like this one in particular. Let me kind of zoom in. It literally looks like it totally has Jim Shore Disney like statue vibes for some reason to me. Like the way Jim Shore does, like it feels like a carved thing with like angular pieces of wood and stuff like that. Like when I look at these, it's like the art of Jim Shore's. I like that. I like it. Gustavo, I'm guessing, yeah, from Brazil. Yep, as I've noted, there's always a trend that whenever we click on cool people's art, very, very rarely are they from the United States. Shocker. Okay, last piece of chocolate. This is Anna Solveeva. Probably again from the Ukraine or somewhere. These are just cute. There wasn't much to it. I like the simple, we've talked about simple highlights and shadows. I really like that use on just like chunky forms. Proportions are all out of whack here. Don't know what's going on. But I liked the simple use of color. Sometimes the simplest use is the hardest. But let's see if they've got other weird proportions or what. They are from Israel, from Jerusalem. Oh, very different styles they've got here. All female, like, fantasy things, it looks like. Yeah, these are good. I think I set the bar too high with that last set of projects at that those two different individuals did. Like they were too good. These are great, but I don't know. I'm still thinking about that other set. They were too good. Definitely give them a follow though. They've got potential. I like to see what they'll do more of. Interesting, they look like they played with this like heavy outline. Like they're still painter style, but like this little outline. I kind of like where they went, like where it's more painterly though. I think that suits the way that they make a mark a lot better. Or simplification. Like there's the in between was kind of strange, and I think they knew that too, which is always cool to see their progression of style. Okay. The last one was for Supervive. A cool game. I'd seen it all over the place for a while. But this just looked neat. I didn't click on any environmental pieces this week, so I wanted to just take a peek. Kind of makes me motion sick in a way, the way that this it might not catch it on stream. There's like a slight left and right warble too. It's not just up and down. Very geometric. What are they? From France. Their stuff is definitely different. Maybe I don't. They're cool stuff. This is definitely not necessarily in my wheelhouse of stuff, but they feel very graphic in their shape language and stuff, which is cool. A lot of concept-y stuff. I was going to say it feels very Bethesda-esque, which makes sense. This is from Deathloop, the game. It feels like they would have done stuff for, there's a game called Dishonored. Similar type of energy, I feel like, that they have. Same with Dishonored, the game. Where like relatively painterly, thick strokes, harsh edges, harsh lighting. Like a darker kind of undertone too, right? Very, very cool. I think I've got art books out the butt. I'm pretty sure I've got the Dishonored art book somewhere in the office, maybe. Also a game by Arcane. So that makes sense. Okay. So we stopped at noon and we did our half hour. That's actually weirdly perfectly timed. If I'm known for anything, it's being unbelievably timely, right? So that's cool. So 12:30, we've got 2 hours, so we can get back. We did our figure drawing already, so we got that out of the way. Let me see the iPad that charged a whole like 5% in that time. Ew. Sorry, I knew this would be a pain going back and forth since it's all by the iPad, so having to reconnect everything is not ideal. Get back. Okay. Back to iPad. We left off with this, but what I did the other day, so I was watching an anime, and it is called Yaiba. Apparently, it's an old anime that I never watched as a kid. It might not have really made its way to the States, honestly, which is usually kind of the case. That said, I still watch stuff that didn't necessarily make its way to the States. But anyway, it was a new show called Yaiba on Netflix, and it looked like an old anime in like the most positive way. Like it looked like I would have watched it when I was younger, but like with the memory of seeing it now, right? Like with current modern vibes. And yeah, I watched the first episode just while I was on the bike at the gym, just 20 minutes. And holy crap, that was really good. Like it genuinely felt like I was 12, sitting on the floor, watching Cartoon Network after school watching Dragon Ball Z, and then this show came on after. Like it genuinely felt like it existed in a time that meant a lot. You know what I mean? Like that was really cool. And watching that and seeing that cartoon made me miss animating. For those that don't know, I actually went to school for animation. I have a master's degree in animation. And so that was one of my original loves was pictures moving, right? Images moving and having life to it. And there's something innately satisfying about that, being able to turn something and make it move, right? Give life to a thing with your own two hands. Like yes, drawings are one thing, but making something feel alive and have energy is something else. And so the other day when I was having coffee, I wanted to sketch something out. And so I just wanted to I literally looked at it when I drew it, and I haven't really looked at it since. So I just wanted to so the whole vibe was I just wanted like a little playful sword loop. So I don't even know if you can see these. So the idea, okay, so it still looks decent. I wanted it to be just like a little loop that I could play with and animate of someone jumping up, swinging the sword, making contact with someone, and then showing that image kind of reset. So in a full loop, like the idea that he jumps, swings, hits, bounces back, slides, and then camera pans, spins around, and is back to the initial image, essentially, where he's jumping back up. Literally just, I just was going by the seat of my pants. Haven't drawn animated like this in many, many, many years. But I really just was in the mood to do it. So I kind of wanted to just look at, I don't know if we're going to draw anything with this. I just wanted to look at it and see if there's anything I can actually like work on right now. Otherwise, I might just get back to the other drawing I was going to do today. Yeah, there's something fun about like breaking these shapes down, right? So like squishing him down, holding that, and then his body lurching, so the neck would be pushed down, right? With such force, pushing the neck down, but then immediately arcing the body up, whoop, whoop, and then gone. Like such a fast jump. The idea is like, and then the second his foot's gone, we don't even see him. And then the dust settles, quite literally. And then swinging in, chink. Yeah, I don't know if there's much to add right now. Like I might later, just for fun, like clean this up. There's not too much I feel like I could. I feel like what's the part where he like hits here, like that happens too fast. I would need to like, maybe he hits and then hits again. Because right now he like hits and then bang, bounces right off. What if it's like one of those like smack and then he pulls back to smack again? That might make it last longer, the scene, rather than just like immediately eating shit and flying away, right? Yeah, what if we get rid of, how do I, can you, I don't know how this works with this, honestly. Do you just clear it? Okay. This animation, like, in this software sucks. I did not expect to make like a full thing. I just wanted something to play around with. So it didn't need to be anything crazy. But so like, what if he's here and then he just jumps back again, right? For another swing. So then let's pull his head back like he's going real quick. And arm back again. So his arm's forward here. So let's pull it back a little. The beauty of animating stuff is like you don't need to, like when I'm black, it's fun because you don't have to be anything more than this, right? Like you can get the idea without having to add additional information. Like, yeah, you can maybe do like an in-between then here, right? You can pop one in, boop, and then see. So we can put in an arc of the head like that, that then you can see him maybe pull the shoulder back a little bit more here. Like you don't even have to do like the where the sword is. Like if you notice, there's like frames. I'll skip entirely of the object even. Like there's a spot way over here where like I didn't even draw the dude's body. Do we see there's like a sketch of the guy and then I just drew a circle for the idea of the camera rotating. Just a circle because the brain fills in the space. So that's what's kind of fun about like doing in block and animation stuff like this because like you can just have fun essentially putting down ideas. You don't need to have like hard, fast, concrete things. You just sketch it in, right? So he reels back for another hit. And then let's see him. He probably would reel back even more, right? So let's say he like really holds that. Important moments you really want to like emphasize with an extra frame or two of like stressing this action, right? But then he'll swing so fast, right? So he'll cock it back, and then just smack, right? So it'll be down almost immediately from here. We'll go back up. But then let's say he like just dives his face down so hard now. That doesn't look right. I don't like his arms here. Like too tight to his chest. Still too tight. I don't know how I want to do that. Smack. And the other person, like it's closer to his chest because the other person goes to block, let's say. So we can draw that in a second. So like that's what I like to, if I'm just block, again, this has been a billion years since I've tried to animate stuff. So I'm just kind of, smack. Okay, so there should be another frame between here, I think. Because it doesn't read him pulling back. The pulling back needs to be a more notable action. And then the swing forward is the quick one, right? So you need slow actions paired with quick actions. So in this instance here, we kind of need to slow it down. Maybe do 2. Yeah, do another one in between these. That look. We could do like a blur in between, maybe. Like a. Obviously, this is unbelievably messy, but again, that's the fun of just kind of like slapping ideas down. That blur doesn't really read. Here. I don't know what just happened there. I did some sort of. Okay, that a very rudimentary blur, but that works. He struggles for a second and like turns more towards the person and really like leans into it. Before he gets pushed back now. So it's a smack, and then a pushback now to give that read a little more. Oops. A secondary hold kind of on this one. Where he like not struggles, but like it's just like a little back and forth. Kind of a struggle, I guess. And we'll do a 3-framer of him just kind of struggling for a sec. And then the pushback will happen. And we can add more. Again, I don't feel like doing like anything for real. I'm just playing with this, just something different on stream. I feel like I always just draw the same kind of things. I just wanted to be like, hey, look, I can animate a little too. I want to do this. Just for something different. Jump, smack, smack. So this spot, the second smack, I feel like he needs to be more forward then, and then he gets pushed forward. So let's have him. So he actually hits a little higher and then gets pushed closer. So like swing, bop, makes impact with whatever would be impacty kind of nonsense just for our own visual information. But then gets like pushed, right? It was an impact, but the person's stronger, so they push back on him. The shapes are getting completely out of whack now, but that's fine. Jump. I feel like the pause here needs to be so. Struggle. This one can be gone. I think this frame can be deleted. Maybe even one in between here. I feel like it might be unnecessary. Maybe we get rid of this one. Does it read faster then? Because he goes, like, I want it, like, as he hits back, he's already going forward. Swing back, swing forward. Swing back, swing forward. Yeah. That works. All right. How's a boring frame to pause on? I need one where he now is like retreating, kind of. This is where I struggled last time when I was sketching it in. I remember this weekend because I'm like, I don't know how to draw him like getting bopped back. You know what I mean? To the point where he's gonna jump. But maybe he's just kind of already jumping here. Eh, all right. I think I've sat on this long enough. This was just a silly little exercise for now. Let's see what it looks like, though. Yeah, that needs some work. Yeah, whatever. It's something. I made something move. You know what I mean? That's fine. So it's one. I'm going to eat my little snack. But so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw Emma. I'm gonna clean up some of her line work, I think. And ooh, that's really loud, I'm sure. And while I do that, I'm gonna need to see reference of Emma Frost in game. So she's not in game yet. She will be tomorrow. But I will pull up. Let me grab this on my other monitor. The way the internet's been going on about this character, I'm like nervous to search that with it visible to the stream. The internet's been hornballing it. Where is she at? Okay, we can turn the screen back on. So obviously it's tiny on the top right here, but this is good old Emma. Oh my god, I hate that I just want to open the image. I don't care. If I'm searching for images, don't open the website. Clearly, I just want the image. Open image. So these are the three of her. I'll kind of do my half-assed like way so they can be seen on the side of the screen here. One. We see that? Oh, we can't see this one. There we go. That's close enough, right? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, we're just kind of throwing a couple things away. There we go. So the debate that I usually have is my workflow. Do I start it in color or do I clean up the line work? I feel like I always watch people do color first and then do clean line work after, which is probably what I should adopt. So let's try it. So for perspective, this was the original pose that I drew, trying to just come up with like a shape for her. And then if you're curious, this is what it became. So from that sketch of the pose to then a little bit, I pushed it a little more, pushed the hips and thighs way more because look at the reference. Changed the arc of her upper torso a little bit. Well, I always get my layers mixed up. I'm pretty sure it's multiply, right? That you can see the color above, right? Yeah. So for lazy, quick color, let's get her skin. So she's pretty pale, right? So let's go with one of our paler skin tones and just kind of block in a little bit. Or do we do the whole thing? Let's do that. I kind of like doing that instead. Again, I wish we were on Photoshop where I could just like, is there a way to select? I can't remember what their selection tools are. I just remember they suck. And especially when it gets all finicky with the iPad's touch system. Like, you know what I mean? Like reading the touches. That I'm always nervous it's going to F up. So basically what I'm doing right now is just trying to outline her overall shape that I've drawn, just so I can block in a chunk of color right off the rip. And then we paint on top of it. Again, normally I do it by hand, but I'm going to try, since we're in Procreate, let's try and make it. I don't like these tools, but maybe if I learn to work with them, I can be more efficient. Because like there, I didn't have to paint all of that, right? I just did. How do I unselect? Okay. So I mean, there's skin already down. Yeah, whatever. Not my favorite way of using their tools, but it also works, so I can't super complain, I suppose. Though I am left with negative space I need to erase because I did not account for that when I sketched it in. I'm a big believer in negative space. That breathing room tells a lot of story sometimes. And it lets you like, I don't know, it breaks up the silhouette. It does a lot of stuff. When you have an overly cluttered thing, like this isn't a lot of negative space, right? It's one, like one up. Well, I guess I can't really draw. One up here, one here, and a big one here, basically. Yes, there's two smaller ones beside that, but like just enough to break it up and breathe, which is what we need to do. Okay. So maybe we do actually, what if we do, we're always doing something new here, right? So let's try that. Let's alpha lock this and actually make it a gray instead. And we'll do our, let's practice looking at value instead. So let's use the same one. I think it is, it's not multiply. What is the layer style? It was multiply, right? No. For shadow is what I'm getting at. So let's think of where we want the lighting to come from. Okay. So obviously she's like a superstar is the energy. And she's glittering from everywhere. But with her most exposed side, I would gather the light would be coming from our top right. You're not going to underlight a character like this. So like, oh, I was thinking I had a highlight. So the shadows then, let's say, would exist down here. So like we talked about before when we were doing the figure, just getting the overall like chunks is good. We don't need like a drastic amount of shadow. I don't need like lifelike shadow right now. I want more graphic design type of shadowing, which is what we are going to do. Just to get at the very least like the energy of what the piece is going to look like. I feel like too often I'll like do it and then I don't have a full grasp of what I wanted it to look like until we're like too far in, and then it just is hard to course correct. So starting with black and white, you can at least get do like a pass the vibe check, right? Like, does it work? Does this read? Does the lighting make sense? Does this need to change at all? And then we'll not obviously, but we'll do a nice rim light of color shining from the opposite side like we normally do too. But for now, we are not worried about rim lights. We are just looking at. So this is open, right? Or is this? No, it's like a pattern. So she doesn't have any exposed skin up top. It's just like a normal. Okay. I was working with all the Malice video stuff, and Malice, that character has a poop ton exposed on the chest area, so I just assumed Marvel did the same thing here. But alas, they did not. So as I'm blocking this in, I did actually finally finish. I had mentioned before in one of the previous streams, I started an audiobook, right? I'd spoken at length on how I'm usually not an audiobook person. And I found that the reason is because I get too vested in my own head. So the reason being, I can't do other things while I'm reading an audiobook because my brain is too busy visualizing every bit of information, which makes sense given the context of who I am and how I make things. Makes sense, but it never like solidified in my head why that was the case. I've always tried to do art books, audiobooks, but I just never could get into them. But it's because I am too much of a visual person. And so I found going for walks is the perfect time for me to listen to an audiobook. So I've actually thoroughly enjoyed being able to essentially quote unquote read again. I haven't like legit read novels in a few years now. And so it's been really nice being able to have this storytelling provided to me in a different way now, in a way that fits with me, right? I can do it while I walk. I'm not trying to do other things. This is a time that I walk. I'm usually either A, on the phone, or B, listening to something, whether it's music or a video or a podcast or, something. So this is a perfect opportunity for me to have a book. That said, I really like the book that I was currently on. It's a 10-book series, so I've got quite a bit of length to keep going. Dungeon Crawler Carl. But I did finish that first book yesterday, and it was definitely great. And I'm genuinely excited to start the second book now. Like, very, very excited. I'm debating if I start it today. Because like most media, I like to give things time to breathe, right? Like I liked when I finish a show, I like to let that show sit, right? Like a good food or something like that. Like you want to appreciate it. You don't want to just immediately scarf down something new. You want to like sit and mull it over and have more like distinct thought about it rather than just diving in. Cool. Game on. Let's do round 2. Like, but it's an interesting one because the way this book is written, it's not like there will be clear cut like books in terms of like, oh, the story is concluded, kind of. No, it's Dungeon Crawler Carl. He's in this massive dungeon and like he just made his way about to get into the 3rd floor. So it's not like a book that has like more traditional like cut and dry, at least like, oh, it's concluded, but the story can continue like this. It's like, oh no, this was literally just a cut in the story, more or less. Like, obviously there's more to it, and it is a good spot to stop that they picked. But at the end of the day, it's just a break. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like anything completely concluded. So while I normally like to let things mull over and actually like reflect on it, part of me is like, yeah, but do I just go in and start the next one now already? Because it doesn't matter. Like, we'll see. But yeah, I really, really liked it. If you're looking for a new book to listen to, or obviously listen to though, because it's like Sound Booth or something is the company that does this audiobook, and it is fantastic. They actually have sound effects, they've got different voice actors, they've got like modulation on the voices. There's so much production value to it that it feels so immersive. So if you aren't someone like me who already gets way too immersed, this helps like tenfold because it's so well produced, right? It's not just like some dude reading a book. You could argue it's like a theater performance of this script that is the book, you know? So it feels so much more involved and engaging. Luckily, I've already got the audiobooks. I've been watching to keep them on sale because you can use the credits from Audible, or credits are like a universal thing. But if the book is $30, sure, a credit's worthwhile. But if you can get the book for $6, why would you waste a credit that could be worth something that you spend 30 on, you know? So I've been keeping an eye out for the other books in this series to go on sale. So I have, I think now I have book 1 and book 2, which is perfect. But then I think also I have book like 6 because that was on sale for a pretty cheap price too. So it's like, well, obviously I need to attain all 10 books at some point. So keeping an eye on when and if they go on sale seems the best cost analysis, cost benefit for me. Cost effective is what I was trying to say. Again, just right now is like I said, I usually don't work this way exactly, but I know this is an effective method, and so I wanted to try my hand at doing a more simplified black and white breakdown of the colors, or of the values, right, of the highlights and shadows first. A nice hard distinction, right? Like, so we see these shadows, we understand where the light's coming from already. We don't need to redesign anything too much when we paint then, because the idea is there, right? The movement of the form of the shape is already here. We don't need to do too much more. Really want to keep that roundness of the thigh there. I think that's important. But I think what we'll do then, so the head is pretty in shadow right now, which is okay by design. That's fine. Like I said, I think what we'll do is the rim light will actually be coming from the left side then. So I don't know how, I can't remember if there's a layer style that isn't screen, right? I'm pretty sure it's screen. Screen is the one I'm thinking. You multiply for shadow and screen for highlights, right? So the highlights obviously are going to exist on these giant diamonds that are on her body all over. Her body itself can turn to diamond, but she's not at this moment. Again, it's always weird doing like a new method on stream because it's like, it's weirdly vulnerable because I don't know what's working. And I'm just kind of doing it off the seat, on the seat of my pants. Like, well, I hope this makes sense. Instead of having like, you know, an established comfort and norm to doing it. Nah, we don't do that here. Just make stuff up as we go. I feel like I'll need to tone down these highlights anyway. These are pretty intensely bright. And I'm trying to use like a giant brush to simplify these strokes, but that also is not helping because it's a little too intense. So I'll just shrink it a little bit. Like these diamonds on her shoulder would be really bright. Not like unbelievably bright given the context of where it is, but you would definitely see highlight on them still, is all. So this is way too, oh, F, that's not what I want. That is also not what I wanted. What brush is this that I have set to my eraser right now? Not necessarily the one I wanted, but I don't feel like changing it. Okay. So those values look about right. Right? I think so. The black and white. That reads. Oh, excuse me. Now the real thing is, like I've said, I actually don't know the method that other people do. So like you've got the black and white. Now what do we do to add color? I actually don't know the exact method that people use. So let's just mess around. Okay. Let's clip this still. I don't know. Let's say we wanted her skin tone, right? We'd already picked this light color for the skin tone. Obviously we can fill it in, but it's just going to completely negate everything. So what do we do? So I'm going to do this just to visualize. Is there a layer style that we can do that doesn't unbelievably like bastardize the color? I don't think there really is because it all just looks gross then. Color makes it look real dark too still. Like this is a little darker than I'd like it to be. And this feels very like lifeless. I don't know. Let's just quick slap stuff in just to see. Oh, wait, does she not have oh, I thought she had exposed skin on the elbows and stuff. I am incorrect. She does not. She just, why expose the elbows when they can have all the attention go right to these massive freaking thighs? Ba-ba boom. Yeah, that color just looks really dark then. That doesn't feel... How does that work if we were to do that with like a white then? Because like her outfit itself is like a light bluish gray, right? So how does this work? Yeah, see that? Oh wait, did I not change it? Don't mind me. I already forgot what I set it to. Just color, right? Yeah, everything just looks really dark when we do it this way. Like none of these things are are well lit enough. Like I don't mind it, but it's also doesn't do it justice the way I'd like it to. You know, like it's just a little too saturated with things. Yeah, this is not the playful color that I want. So let's say, what else can we do? Again, the beauty of trying new methods on the spot usually turns out wonderful, am I right? Like that. Obviously, that's not what we're going for, but I like the way the color actually looks with those blues. That vivid light really kind of pops then. It really, because look at this part here when I zoom in. Like this looks like the old ice cream cups or whatever, like that color. That is really cool looking though. How do I replicate that? What is that vivid light? What does vivid light look like with skin? Probably too bright. Holy yeah. I was a little bright. A little bright, little bright, little bright. What if we take the shadow layer then? Can we, hold on. Put it up top. Put this back to just like normal. Right? Just the actual color. What happens? Oh my gosh, this old iPad. I'm sorry. You guys know the struggles I have with this sucker. So I'm thinking color burn actually looks pretty good. And we can always go in and add other stuff in between. Can I color pick this or is it color pick the... Okay, cool. I didn't know how iPad would color pick based off of what we see. Sometimes it would pick off based off of the value of that layer, not the value visible to the screen. But okay, so what is this white outfit? This white outfit is, let's just cover the whole body with this and then go from there. We can pull it back after the fact. So just say the suit is all white and then we'll get rid of the parts that aren't and paint over them. Obviously the diamonds are not going to be this color, but for sake of just saying painting on top of the clothing right now, just to get a better energy, this'll do. And then hella blonde, right? Her hands are exposed, right? Oh, but I already, I'll have to erase some stuff. Yeah, I don't know if I like this coloring method, you guys. I'm not a fan of this way. It just feels weird to me. Like, I feel like I have less control than in the end. It's simpler, that's for sure. Thanks. Yeah, like I said, I'm not sold on how I'm coloring this one. As I always do, I try something different each time, like functionally. And this time is not great. But it's fine. I wanted to do black and white first. And just see it in value like that, but it doesn't look right when I start adding color, and that's usually the problem. So I might just get rid of those entirely and do it by hand. We'll see. Because even these don't look saturated enough. Like, I want this to be like punchy, real punchy. So what if we just do like a light color burn on top? Got an idea of where I want to put shadow. And then let's... How about we clean up the line work, actually? Let's do that. Let's put all this in a folder. Group it. Get rid of the color. Keep the color. I always do an archive folder just because that's what I grew up doing. Like, hey, this is the old stuff. Archive, gone. Okay. Liner brush. Oh my goodness, this old iPad, I don't know if it comes off on that end. It is like chugging as I'm trying to adjust the opacity right now. Holy F. Those don't look too bad, right? That's not the worst. So what I did before is I tried to make it, if we remember, the color of this line is going to be the shadow, right? So whatever color I establish here should be the shadow color for the leg then. So let's just practice since we're doing that now. Let's go back here. Get our big ol' shader. Why does that look weird? That looks hella weird. Yeah, where Malice had like her legs are exposed, but she's got tights on. These are not tights. This is just thick ass thighs exposed. No tights. So it is actual skin color. What I'm getting at is where the other one was like a more purplish hue. This is not going to be that. It's really dark when I do that. F, was I drawing on that layer? Oh my god, I hate when you're doing stuff on the wrong layer. It's one of the worst things in digital art. When you realize, oh, I was doing this on the completely wrong layer this whole time. The colors, I'm just not vibing with. I don't know, like, we've been over this before with all my drawings. I feel like whenever I do stuff, I still just don't have a style I like a cohesive, like, routine, if you will, like a way of doing it. And because I don't, I feel like I'm always just not cool with what I'm doing. I wonder, so this is a weird way. Let's try something different today. Actually, let's do, what if, this is a weird way. I wonder if this will work with my brain a little better. Holy crap, what did it, it was screen, right? Why does this look like doo-doo? What happened? What is going on? Oh, it was multiply. Whoops. What if we take this and make it little? And I use that kind of as like my own reference point for overall values. So I do like a quick down and dirty kind of like, okay, this is the energy. And then I do it painting it from scratch because I feel like this is just not, I don't like this black and white nonsense. It just doesn't do it for me. I need to think in color. So let's say F it and let's do color. And get rid of this nonsense. And then we can saturate the hell out of this because this is not looking vibrant enough. I think that's part of the problem. She's too pale. Let's saturate it. That's too much. Too far. Course corrected, too far. How about this one? That works. Well, she's pale. She's the white queen. Like, that's like, she's supposed to be real pale. But I think if we give it a more saturated color like this, Everybody looks better with a tan. I don't know. We've been watching Daredevil, right? Wilson Fisk, he's got to be pale. He'd look weird with a tan. He's no longer the Kingpin then, right? Like, he got to be pale. But no, Emma Frost is the White Queen, so I can't make her too different. But I think what we'll do is we'll find a middle ground, because I don't like this one either. Like a little bit more pasty, and then in the highlights we'll definitely lighten it. So what we can do is we'll leave this, and then I don't like the line work. This is that. Lines. Okay. Here. Yeah, all the colors just don't look very saturated for some reason on the screen today. They look very, like, muted. Not sure why. If I just straight up saturate it. Done. Just saturate the hell out of all the colors. I don't care. Works. I'm not saying I'm comparing her to the Kingpin. I'm just saying, like, you said everybody looks better with a tan. And I'm just saying, not everybody looks better with a tan. It's part of the character is to not be tan. Honestly, OG Kingpin, he may look better with a tan. I don't know. I don't like Kingpin with a tan. OG Kingpin thighs are probably around the size of Emma Frost here. Like OG, like cartoon Kingpin. I'll be right back, actually. As I usually say, timing. Give me a minute. I know I definitely need to make something for when I go take a break real quick. I've told you, I've mentioned it before on stream that I need to do that. It's just the cost analysis of that right now, of like me making an animation for that, is not quite where my focus should be at the moment. But yes, eventually that is the goal, to have some sort of little animation, both when I'm starting stream and then when I take a moment. I'm only human. I gots to pee. Did you time me though? Was I fast enough? Okay, so let's just block the colors in then. Let's just say screw all the other stuff right now of me getting distracted and trying to do other things. Let's just strictly do colors. So let's just get this light blue in so fast. See, you couldn't even have time to do it because it was so fast you couldn't even see it. I get it. I get it. Pretty crazy, I know. So let's just slap in the colors. So since the peach, the skin tone is under, right? That is the color that we will see if we erase, right? So that is going to be the base, which probably should have been the other way around. Probably should have made the blue the base, but you know what? Here we are. And we didn't do that. Yeah, I am definitely intrigued by this new season. I'm excited to, for speaking of, looking at Marvel Rivals. I don't know when it technically goes live. I'm assuming it goes live. Like when they've done updates, it goes live. Some of the things go live early, as in like technically Thursday night. But I have no clue if that's how the season is handled. We've only really had one season. So they haven't really you can't really say there's like a precedence yet. Like there's no pattern. It's just happened once so far, so we shall see if it's like technically at like 11 p.m. tonight, or is it at like 6 a.m. in the morning? Those are two very different things of how I'll interact with it. Either way, I'm excited for that magic skin. Or I'm sorry, the Psylocke skin. And magic, but mainly Psylocke right now. Which she's a whole other picture. Well, yeah, I mean, I would get up early, then depending tomorrow to play. If I don't get to play it before I go to bed, then, like it just depends on which timeline the release is. Excuse me. But yeah, realistically, even if it comes out tonight, I'll still probably get up early to play just a little bit too. We'll see though. So her hands. Oh, I don't know if it's 6 a.m. I'm just saying, like, I guess we can look it up since we're here right now. Oh god, me typing with this massive screen here. When does Marvel Rivals Season 2 start? Okay, so DT 1 a.m. I always get mixed up. Okay, here, Polygon. When does I don't like to count time zones. I'm an idiot. So on the West Coast, okay, so it's 3 a.m. for us here in Chicago. So no, I will not be staying up to play it. I will go to bed and get up early, hopefully, and play it then. So it goes live at 3 a.m. our time. Which makes sense. So usually games, for those that don't know, games usually want to update when not the most amount of people are going to be on. Because imagine something goes wrong, right? They roll out, everyone needs to download the client, they need to download the update, they need to do all these things. But then like if there's issues and everybody it's getting hammered with the highest volume of people, if they did it and it's at like 6 p.m. on a Friday or 7 p.m. on a Friday, like whatever their busiest time is, that's terrible. You never want to drop an update then. So usually what games do is they update middle of the night. So there's less traffic and easier to fix problems if they need to come up with solutions. If that makes sense. Well, I'm not getting up at 6 a.m. Hell no. I'm not about that life. I'm proud of my getting up at like 9:15 timeline. Let me have that. Not getting up at 6. So technically this is not here at all. Let me get rid of this. Zoop. This is negative space right here between her hair and her collar, like her necklace. Her collar. It looks like a collar though. It's like a straight up. Good enough. Cool. I don't need to worry about the edges too much. So let's just get the hair. So one thing randomly thinking about the new season coming, what I wish they would implement is, so the new season comes with Krakoa, right? It's a new map to play. There's no way for the player to just go play that map by themselves. You have to engage in some sort of game mode, which is not like that hard to go against other things and bots and stuff. But I wish there was a way to just like enter a training mode that lets you explore the level, right? Like I want to learn where everything is. I want to learn the paths, the choke points, you know, all the details of the map that are a little harder to learn in the fray, right? While you're playing an actual game. So I wish there was that, because I remember back in Halo when new maps would come out when I was younger, I would literally, before I went online to play, I would sit there and run through the map for like half hour before I even played the game with anybody, because I wanted to learn where the things are, how to play it efficiently. You know what I mean? I'm an information person. And so there was Nerdy Britton needing to go through and find the nitty gritty, right? I needed to interact with those kind of things. Otherwise, I was like, no, I can't do it yet. So that's kind of me with this game, where it's like, I wish I could sit down and just straight up explore the map, right? Probably wouldn't explore it as in depth as I did when I was a kid. I don't have the patience or the time, frankly, to do it that way, but a little would be nice. Okay, so this is real blue. Let's change this to be more white, and then we'll tweak it to be more, the other stuff more blue. So, boop, boop. Just brighten it. Something like that, like a grayish blue, right? And then we'll add the actual blue, which is very, a little tealish, because it's icy, right? It's got that little bit of iciness to it. So let's look at what this looks like. Where is blue on her outfit even? The shoulder and the elbow. It's like these things. What does this blue look like? Do I like that? No, it needs a little more green. So I don't have good images of her just like standing. She's always got her arms crossed in all these early promotional images. That doesn't really help me. There. Her coattails, right? Yeah, the underside of her jacket, right? The coattails of the jacket is what those would be, are this light blue. And then so are the inner parts, right? Yeah, of the X in her knee pads. So these colors flow. Her boots are still white, yeah. Again, I'm not going to worry too much about intersection points right now, simply because there's no line work yet. So when I slap on line work, it might be a non-issue. You know, like if I start lining it, then you don't even see it there. So why would I take the time if it's not a problem yet? You deal with it when it becomes a problem when it comes to stuff like this. Unlike America, that could have dealt with their problems well before they became problems. Yeah, I said I was hungry from the other day's diet, like my timeline being off. Man, is it off today still then? And then now I'm going to go hang out with friends possibly for dinner, which is going to throw off my timing even more. My stomach is just going to be so confused as to when we're eating today. Can't catch a break. I like this blue. I think that looks good. I'm guessing the underside would be partially, let's just say the inside of her boot is blue too. Like of the X, because I want it to be. I don't have the game. I like when I've got the game updated and up and I can actually like move the character in 3D space and see exactly what, you know, the outfit looks like and how the details are. But we don't have that till tomorrow, so not for me. So I don't think we'd see the forearm color variation, right? But there's like a silver and then there's a blue. So this is the blue and then the silver is the trim. So blue is more of like inner woven bits of her outfit and silver is the trim. And then this like light white-ish, bluish gray. Oh shit. Shoot, is the base. Right. The necklace has a blue trim, it appears, right? Or the collar, as I dubbed it. Oh, and that's actually what goes into the X. Okay, that makes sense. So it actually, zoop, goes up and over. And over. So that's what makes the X for X-Men. Neat. And then the shoulders have like this little bit of blue. Not a whole lot, but it's like as if she's got like an under, like whatever the undershirt is kind of for her outfit. Oh shoot, is this light blue. Okay, so I didn't really draw that. So is it just these then? I didn't really do a distinct pattern for this. Did I? No, that's the silver trim. That's silver. Let's just say this whole chunk is blue then. Just to give it more color. So it needs a little break in color anyway of blue over here. And then we'll outline it. It'll look more normal. So what color are her fingernails? Oh, her fingernails are this blue as well, it appears, right? So easy peasy. We'll obviously need to outline that properly, but it works, right? Yeah. I feel like there was more blue in her chest, but I guess it's just the fact that it's the diamonds. But her lipstick is also a little bit this blue, but I'm not gonna paint that now. Okay, so let's do the silver. So we'll do this same color. Make it a little more blue, and then up here. Too blue, way too blue there. Need it more desaturated. A little darker. Nope, I don't like that. This is GoldenEye. I like this music. I think that silver works. It's a little dark, but I feel like I'm gonna highlight it a lot anyway. Oh crap! I charged it, and it's already. Apparently, the charging of the battery just got it confused then, because somehow that's even whatever. Stupid old iPad. Whatever. We'll do. Let's just get the base colors in then. Okay. At least finish up all the base colors of these silvers and the gems and different things like that. And then we can let the iPad apparently rest. Which is lame. That was part of why we did it already earlier, so it could get some rest. It's almost like this iPad is like 10 years old now. So it's like silver trim throughout the whole body. Basically anywhere there's like a thin trim, I'm just gonna assume it's silver unless I see otherwise. Oh, there's even trim on her, like the underwear thing. They're, it's like gemstones on her boots, right? So that's not necessarily the silver. Okay. Is there silver, like we said, on the arms, the trim here? Silver. Silver. I don't know what to do with the gems, honestly. The diamonds, because they're so intense. I don't know what color to provide for, like, you know, like just a rough drop of color. They're like a prismatic-y silver teal. Like there's so many different colors to them. So I don't know how I'm supposed to just do a base. Let's do like what does this look like? Okay. That's the color of the diamonds for now. Like the base color. And then we'll figure it out later when the iPad's not dead. Which it is now because yeah, I don't know. I do wonder if actually charging it made it worse. Because this is definitely, usually it's not this early, the battery thing comes up. So one would assume it would have come up a little later, but instead it came up a little earlier. I don't know. Whatever. Worst case scenario, that means I get to actually eat a little sooner, which I'm fine with. And as usual with my streams, I feel like towards the end I get more like tired and bored and less productive. So that's okay. The iPad knows. The iPad's like, I got you. We're going to pretend we're dead. I will be over dramatic so you can go eat. I need to get rid of the hair a little bit there is not right. Is that all the gems? I feel like she had way more diamonds all over her. Oh, I didn't draw. She's got one right in the middle of her chest. I never drew that in the sketch. I need to put that in there. I'll obviously do line work for it later, but just so I remember that there needs to be, it's like right in the adjusting, like touching the collarbone there. The clavicle. Okay. Look at the colors of the face real quick. She's got a lot of makeup on, and I don't want to overdo the colors of the face right now, but I do just want to allude to at least some sort of color on the face if we're just blocking in, right? So she's got her lips, and then what kind of eyeshadow is it like a... She just has the black, and then just heavy, heavy black with then the thick, like reddish. Okay, that's nothing much. Well, that's lame. I wanted more like playful color up here. Okay, so what time is it? And the battery hasn't died yet, so we should be okay to do a little more. Let's do a quick pass since we're here. Shadow. Where's underscore? Nope. Shadow skin. Okay. So let's get back to... It's actually not bad. What if we just saturate it? Or do we desaturate it a little? Ooh, way too much. I know we learned with one of our previous studies, less is more, right? So softer. That's still very orangey though, isn't it? Want it to be more reddish. Is that too much? A little bit. Okay. She got these, look at these Chun-Li thighs kind of working, okay? We select, nope, it doesn't work that way. Okay, I get it. Low power mode. We're at 5%. The iPad's so dramatic. Like, come on. We've all got energy levels and we push through them, okay? Deal with it. That's life. We go past our breaking point. So I feel like with her thigh, what's important is softness. Like they're thick and strong, but right away, me putting in these edges that feel hard are not, like that didn't look good, right? So I think that's the takeaway, is that even though she's strong and chiseled, it needs to still be a soft chisel, right? Otherwise, it's just too much. So what I'm doing here, I'm just like painting on top. So really this peach color is going every which way, which is not what we want, but it's fine for the moment. So what did we do for so the chest here was pretty much in shadow when we did the initial drawing. So we'll replicate that enough here. In the face here, we did a lot of shadow, right? So we'll have quite a bit. Again, as we established, we'll do a lot of rim lighting, I think, for her face to really help drive home the glow nature of her design. You missed timing the break. Lame. Don't worry. You missed also the battery's dead on the iPad, so I've got maybe a good minute or two left, actually. What is it? It's already only 2, but the battery's kaput, so. Yeah, I don't know what's up with the battery, why that happened, but I'd rather not be in the middle of drawing something and the battery die. I think we're at 4%, so that's going to go down pretty quick. Thank you. But yeah, so I guess we'll just call it a little early, and I'll figure out, I don't know, maybe I don't charge the iPad in the middle, because maybe somehow that killed it. I don't know, man. I'm not a iPadologist, but yeah, today we I don't mind the swap and schedule, like, of the timing. So I kind of liked having the break doing the other stuff either way, whether it worked for the iPad or not. I don't know, still decently productive. We got some figure drawing in. I've got some reference now to show for the help I was going to give someone later. Thank you. You have a good afternoon too. And then what do we do? Then we animated a little. We looked at some cool stuff and at least got kind of a start to Emma. We at least have an idea of the lighting and how we want it to look. So I think that's as good a time as any to call it. Hope everyone has a good weekend. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Good weekend ahead. Good afternoon, good Friday, all that kind of stuff. And until next week, be kind and kick butt.